Good morning, all, or happy lunchtime to my friends in South Downs and those other of you living in the future. Welcome to Kalbardr's Corner for this episode of Coffee with Kalbardr. I am Lord Kalbardr Guyler, companion of the Meridian Cross, companion of the Argent Comet, companion of the Argent Lamp, Osprey, and Reaper, coming to you live from the bearing of the Osprey on the southern coast of Meridies. So since the show is coffee themed, today's coffee of choice in my awesome new caffeinated mug is Blueberry Cobbler by New England Coffee. All right, so now that introductions are out of the way, today's topic. So the topic is killing with kindness, or at least that's what I wrote it up as. But I think that's a bit inflammatory, and I'm probably going to change it to like crush him with kindness, or I don't know, something. But I don't know. All of them sounded a little aggressive. So, all of that being said, I guess I don't know. Let me. This is going to be a little weird and rambly, as is usual for me. So, so this is a rough weekend in Meridies, and a rough weekend for me. And also let me be clear, because I've had this brought up a couple times. Trebuchet, yeah, no, yeah, there you go. We'll trebuchet them with kindness. So everything I say comes from a place of privilege. I am very white. I am very male. I have had very little subjugation in my life due to my race or gender or religion, for that matter. Even though, yes, I am generally of the pagan Buddhist persuasion. I am bi and I am poly. Those are not generally outward signs. So it's I can still fit in most places. Let me start with that. Okay. So this weekend in Meridies, we had some really good news and then some really bad news. So really good news, Baron Wistrick was reinstated as Baron of South Downs, which is awesome. I love Baron Wistrick. I love South Downs. They're amazing people, and Wistrick, he deserves to be there. Now, when I saw that, I went, uh-oh, because I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to be happy for him. I wanted to be happy for South Downs, but I wasn't, because I knew it was coming, and I had a feeling. So the bad side of that is they also unsuspended. I can't remember the exact term is, because they weren't really banished. So unsuspended Thorsten and Gellery. So those of you who don't know, Thorsten and Gellery are two people that were suspended a couple months ago for basically being terrible people. I won't go into what all they have done. If you want to talk about that, we can catch up offline. But needless to say, they are not great people. I'm sure they have great qualities, and I know a lot of my friends on the coast at least will speak in Gellery's favor. But I personally don't want people like that around me, and I want to make that very clear. I was called out earlier on a post that I made, on a comment that I made, that about tolerating intolerance and all that, and I completely agree. We don't need to tolerate intolerance, and we don't need to tolerate bigotry or hatred or racism or any of those things. And that's a little bit what I want to talk about today, actually. Well, that's a lot about what I want to talk about today. So something I've noticed since March, where all this has been going on, is all of this is becoming more open. Are the idea of racism, the idea of hatred, the idea of bigotry, the idea of politics in the SCA is becoming more of a thing. And there are now sort of three factions that have developed within our society. We have the leftist woke people who want diversity and inclusion and want people to be comfortable. And I'm using leftist and woke not in derogatory terms, but that's what we're being called. So fuck it, might as well go with it. We have these people over here that are generally the people who want those things and are trans, bi, LGBT, QAI, whatever other people's minorities need to be supported. And then there's the other half of that, or the other side. It's people who don't want that. That are racist, hatred, bigots, just generally terrible people. I won't use the term Nazi because I think that the term Nazi gets thrown around a lot, and Nazi to me is just like Republican or Democrat or Green or whatever. It's a political party. Yes, in history, the Nazis were terrible people, specifically because of Hitler and things, and that's a history lesson for another day. But in my opinion, it's really the word Nazi is no different than Republican. It is a form of, it is a set of beliefs in. I wouldn't label somebody Republican any more than I would label them Nazi. I will call them fascists. I will call them bigots and racists. Those are accurate terms for things I'm seeing. But there's a whole lot of folks that are sort of in the middle, and there's a saying that neutrality helps the oppressor. I think that's not the exact wording, but neutrality favors the oppressor. All right, so in this case, the oppressor is these people, is the hate, the bigot, the racist. That's the oppressor in this case. These people, at least some of them, are being oppressed. I'm not being oppressed. Let me be clear with that. Or at least I'm not being oppressed for my things I can't change. I may be being oppressed, but it's because I'm an ally. And I'm okay with that. And again, speaking from privilege here. But there's a whole lot of folks sitting in the middle of this right now that don't get it. They don't understand. And for those of you watching that are not on the coast, I hope what I'm seeing is unique to the coast. I know it's not, but I hope it's maybe more prevalent here. There's a whole lot of folks that don't get it, that don't understand, because, and I'll be honest, I was raised not as a racist, but I was raised in a place where, in the Deep South, in the whole heritage not hate thing, there's a sticker on my door still to this day, actually, at my parents' house, it's a rebel flag. This is heritage not hate, and I firmly believe that. And there is still some of that I'm like, oh no, there is some. I had family that fought on both sides of the Civil War, and I had family that owned slaves. Or at least I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. But also, my family wasn't terribly racist in the what I would consider racist. It was just the thing you did. It was just how you did. It's what you called people. So I can see the other half of this, and I try to understand, because I think part of what we have to get into the mindset. We have to figure out what our and I'm going to use this term, enemy is thinking, to learn how to conflict. So the thing I've noticed since all this started is that the people on the left, I'm going to use left and right because it's simpler for me to reference them. The people on the left have been very angry. People on the right have been very angry. Now, the problem is the people on the right, a lot of them have more political power and have more weight and have more backing than people on the left, because these are your dukes and your knights and your peers. And I'm not saying there are not peers and dukes over here, but there's a bunch of them over here, especially in Meridies, because there's a whole lot of old white folks that have these thoughts. And over here is a whole lot of new folks, and a whole lot of folks that don't play anymore, and a whole lot of folks that are fringe players. And yeah, we have peers, and there's a whole lot of folks over here that are supporting the cause, right? But if all we're doing, they're screaming hate, and they're angry, and they're hating, and they're feeling oppressed, and whatever. And then we're angry, and we're spewing hate, and we're oppressed. See this? This ain't getting anywhere, guys. It's not. Okay? So I am right now talking to everyone on my side, on this side of the thing, on the leftist woke, let's be inclusive side of things, because, and then also to the folks in the middle. The folks on the racist side is I can't fix, right? You can't fix races. You can't fix bigots. You can't. They have to fix themselves, and if they want to fix themselves, cool. But I have no interest in doing that. I fought that fight. I think we've all fought that fight. We're not going to do it. Now, what we can do is stop giving them ammunition. So there's a group out there on Facebook called Revolution for the Dream. Please don't look it up. It's garbage. It'll piss you off. Don't bother. But there's a few of us that have been sort of monitoring it and keeping an eye on, just sort of watching what they're saying. And what they're doing is they are literally using our own words against us. They're using our own hate. They're using our own anger against us to show that, well, I said I want to kill black people, but they also said they want to kill me, so that's the same thing, right? They're not wrong. It's shitty, but they're not wrong. So all it takes is one of us to in the words of Hoga, step on our own dick to fuck up a whole lot of work. There's a whole lot of folks out there right now that are doing a lot of good work to further DEI, to further the inclusion. But if those of us who want to support that are angry and are yelling and are threatening and whatever, they're using that against us, guys. It sucks, but it's true. And I'll use Baron Wistrick as a good example of this. And Wistrick is a good friend of mine. I adore him. Him and Steve are great people. He was removed he was asked to step down as Baron back a few months ago when all this started because of a post he made on Facebook. And he said, basically was I won't go into it, but basically something he said. So Thorson and Geller were removed and being investigated for some shit they said. And then Wistrick said something he shouldn't have said. And it was a mistake on his part. He's admitted it. But it gave them enough firepower to fight it. Because the Crown went, crap. Let's remove these two people. We'll investigate them. We'll deal with that. But then they looked at Wistrick and went, well, crap. You messed up too, and they're right. We have to do something. So they asked him to step down. And he did. But that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair to him. It wasn't from our side, because what he did was significantly less bad than what the other people did. And the other people also have a track record of doing bad shit, whereas he doesn't. But all they saw was the one thing he did. That's all they needed. They needed one bullet. And they got it. We gave it to them. And now they're back. And I'm not saying it's because of that. I'm not saying that and please, Wistrick, if you're watching, or others, I'm not blaming Wistrick for this. I'm using it as an example. They're back because we didn't have enough, because we gave them ammunition. Huh. So, I'm an ally. Have been for a while now. I am very much in favor of equal rights across the board, black, brown, purple, gay, straight, in-betweens, male, female, whatever. Don't care. We're people, we're humans, we deserve equal rights. Plain and simple. There are others who don't think that way. Now, as an ally, I have said some things, and I have called people out on some stuff, and I have questions to people that were the oppressed on their actions. Because just because I'm your ally doesn't mean I agree with you. It doesn't mean I agree with your approach. I'm your ally, and I will be behind you 100%. And I know a lot of my friends that I can speak for on that. But I'm also going to call you out on your bullshit. Hold on, I have a question. Did the bod make any statement to the effect of why they ruled the way they did, or did they? Yeah, Fiken, they didn't. All I know about what the bod decided, and it's all we're ever going to know, is that they said, "Hey, we don't think they did anything wrong," basically. And their Majesties had to unsuspend them per their advice. Anyways, so I'm behind you 100%, but I'm going to call you out on your bullshit. So if I think you did wrong, as an oppressed person, I don't care what, and I'll use oppressed persons as a minority, as a whatever. If I think you fucked up, I'm gonna call you out on it. And just like you want the rest of us to understand and empathize with you, you got to do the same. You have to trust your allies in this to call you out when you're doing wrong. And honestly, this is connected to the allies, other allies as well, other folks that are in the verge. We have to get out of our own way. We have to get out of the way of fixing and change. So Brandon says, a true friend will give you advice that might hurt your feelings, but is in your best interest. That is correct. And that's where we got to get. I think the problem is right now is there are people that aren't seeing the minute somebody says something against them, they don't see them as a friend anymore. Shimon says, it has been my observation that the hate comes from feeling like you're being oppressed. We all must know the difference between disagreement and being inhumane. Correct. Oh man, this is a tough one, guys. I am physically tired from this topic. I won't lie. I didn't want to do the stream today, but I want to talk about it. So it's tough. So to the original topic, kill him with kindness. This is one man's opinion. Let me be very clear. You do what you want to do out there, folks watching, folks that'll see this later, folks that y'all talk to, whatever. But for us to stop giving them ammunition, we have to stop being angry. Now, that's easy for me to say. As a white male in this society, I could turn it off tomorrow. I could go be perfectly happy, sitting somewhere in the middle, be unoppressed, and just enjoy the world. But as a brown, as a girl, as a LGBT, it's not as easy. I get that. I totally get that. But it ain't working. But what we're doing right now ain't working. At least within the society. You know, this is we are functioning within a private organization that does its own things, that doesn't like anger. It doesn't like conflict. The bod doesn't deal with conflict. They want to stay somewhere in the middle. So how can we fix it? There's a difference between being angry and being nice. So the phrase comes up, malicious compliance. Or, you know, there's another phrase for it, but so you have people that are playing that are blatantly racist, blatantly homophobic, blatantly whatever. Call them out. Be public about it. To their face, hi, that's not okay. And if you're not comfortable doing that, let somebody else do it. Ping me. Find somebody you trust. Find a peer. Find a knight. If you're in the West, go find Helga. She'll yell at them. It's fun. Don't be comfortable around them. That's okay. It's okay to not be nice to them. It's okay to not be polite. It's okay to not be, like, genial. But don't be angry. Because when we're angry, we give them ammunition. We're giving them things to feed off of. Now, this also goes to those in the middle. So there's folks, and I'll speak to a prime example. So there's folks on the coast here that will make racist jokes, will make homophobic jokes, will make insert minority flavored joke, right? And most of them will make them to and with the people of those minorities, because we have a bunch of them down here, and they're okay with it. Those people, that other person, black guy, the trans person, the whatever, are okay with it. Anybody down here knows who those people are and who I'm talking about. What they don't get is how it's hurting others. And they, the oppressed people in this case, see it, is it okay? Because they're the ones that are being joked about, and they get to make that decision, and they're absolutely correct. I am all for freedom of speech. I am all for you, as a person in this country, being able to say whatever the frig you want to in the privacy of your own home and within your friends. But what you can't do, or you can't expect, is freedom from repercussions and consequences. So in our case, within the SCA, if you make a racist joke at an event, you're hurting others. You are being unchivalrous to others, because others heard that. There are 100 stories that I've read from people over the last few months that are no longer comfortable at events because they heard their partner, their spouse, their whatever, heard some off-color joke in passing about them. And they don't come to events anymore. That's a good point. So Brandon says, when someone tells a racist joke or makes a racist comment, act like you don't understand it. Prod them and get them to explain it in grave detail and consistently until it's uncomfortable with the person who told the joke in the first place. So that's a great thing. So for those of you who are on the oppressed side of this, that don't feel comfortable necessarily calling them out, like saying, no, that's fucked up, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to play dumb. I'm going to tell them it's fucked up. But that's a good way to do that. Ask them to explain it to you. Play dumb. They'll get really comfortable real fast. They're okay with it. I know how many jokes were made that I had to laugh at growing up because otherwise I was ostracized, and I would have said was okay with it. Yeah, same Viking. That's where I was too, and where I have been. There have been many jokes thrown around a campfire that I've just casually laughed at because it was what was going on, and you know, I don't feel bad about it. Like I can sit here and wallow in my own self-pity and be like, oh, I was so bad. I was such a racist. I was such whatever. I'm done. Like I'm here to fight the fight. And I can't fix old me. I can fix current me. So we have to be happy. And I know that's hard. I know it sucks. We have to be nice. We have to be overly fucking nice. Be polite, be official, be professional. Put your work hat on and be like, to whom it may concern, I don't appreciate your actions because blah, 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 and do that shit publicly. We have to make them not feel welcome, but also not feel oppressed. And it's a real weird place. We cannot play their game because they're winning. So there's a book I read, if you've watched my streams, called Anime Piece, that references Saladin, and the idea of combating your enemies and how to do that humanely and without anger. And I think that to me leads a really plays into this, right? Because if I'm angry, I'm not going to make those right decisions. I'm going to burn bridges, and some bridges maybe need to be burned. Nuke it from orbit, sometimes it's a thing to do. But you understand you need to know what bridges you're burning and why. Because there's a lot of folks in the middle of this that don't get it yet. That we're burning, that we're attacking. We're attacking folks in the middle, and we're attacking folks that are they're on our side. I've been attacked by people that are oppressed because I was trying to mediate a conversation, and they saw me as a big white dude that was clearly oppressing them. Unfortunately, I wear the costume of an oppressor. But we got to try. We have to try. So we want the SCA to be a better place, and I'll use better place in giant air quotes here, because our better place and their better place are two very different better places. Because their better place is a whole bunch of white folks around drinking beer and being racist and sexist and homophobic. Our better place is a much different place, and I want our better place. So instead of us focusing on fighting them, let's just focus on creating a better place. Positive force leads to positive growth. Negative force leads to tearing down. That's where we're at currently. We're in the tearing down phase. Let's see what God just said. However, it's also pretty thorny. Even a moment of contradiction can be a tell for people regarding what someone is prepared to accept regarding diversity, inclusion, etc. Basically, I do not refrain from modulating my behavior, my approach, and how gay I appear around people based on what is said. Other people at moments like these as well as trying concepts other than gayness. And Shimon says, I prefer to bear oneself with dignity against that environment of inhumanity. That's peer-like behavior. Thank you, Master Shimon. Bear yourself with dignity against the environment of inhumanity. That sums it up right there, guys. I think that's all we can do. The second we get angry, we've lost every time. And so for those of you that are fighters, and there's a couple of rapier fighters in the comments currently and others, the minute you get angry on the field, you lose. I have never won a fight that I was angry in. We're angry right now. We got to stop being angry. We're losing this fight. It shouldn't be a fight. This is not a fight we should be having, but it is a fight we're having. It's a war we're in, and we got to focus. Let them be mad. Let them be angry. Let them write 100 letters. We'll write 101. But we're gonna write the happy ones. We're gonna thank the people for doing what they're doing. We're gonna be happy. We're gonna support the events. We're gonna support our friends. Show up. There's a lot of folks out there doing a lot of good right now. There's a lot of folks out there doing a lot of good. We have a lot of events going on. We have a lot of stuff happening that are good, happy things. Show up for them. Support your people. Support your friends. Support what they're doing. And ignore the rest of it. Just shove it down. When it pops up and go, no, thank you. I don't want to participate in that. And just push it down. They'll go away. Like, if we don't play into that, they're going to go away. When they realize they're no longer welcome and they're not getting the response, they're going to go away. Because they're not getting the response they want. They're getting the response they want right now, which is to be angry. And let me be clear, I'm not saying ignore the problem. I'm not saying that let's ignore all the issues. I'm not saying let's just put our blinders on and be like, nope, racism doesn't exist. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we can't fight it with it. We can't fight this with fire. So Fiken says they aren't going to go away as long as they can retain the power. I actually disagree. What we can, so okay, this is a case of if you don't like the game, change the rules. So right now we're playing a game. The SCA is one giant game, folks. If you think otherwise, you're wrong. It's a giant game. So we have a lot of folks right now that are in positions of power, dukes, knights, counts, kings, queens, whatever, that are playing this game and they're winning. So we got two choices. We can play their game because they control it right now, or we can change the rules. So there's a whole lot of rules in this society that are very particular. There's a whole lot that aren't. We don't have to play the game they want to play. We can play our own game. We can go chunk and go over here and just do stuff and just be positive and be happy and teach DEI classes and require these things. Now, if they want to go have racist make racist fest, let them. Fuck it. Let them go over there and have racist make racist fest. We're going to be over here being happy and diverse and inclusive and not let them play with us. We can do that. So if Racist McRacist walks up, or Duke McRacist walks up and starts going, hey, look, I'm racist, dude. No, thank you. We're not playing that game. Again, I get it. It's easy. Big white dude. I can do that. Let me do it. Call on your position. Use your privilege. Let's see. I think we're also in a weird position, because we can recognize some well-placed anger and movements outside the SCA, though we don't have to project that same anger when it's in our place. Yeah. Oh God. Hold on there, bro. Oh, sorry. I'm not saying that well-placed anger has never fixed a problem. Look at civil rights movements. Look at the civil rights movement, sort of all overall. Sometimes tearing shit up fixes problems, but realistically, the actual act doesn't. So the actual act of tearing shit up, and I'm using that sort of in a broad, sweeping, protests, riots, looting, whatever, right? Tearing shit up doesn't actually fix the problem. It merely makes it loud enough that you can't ignore it. That works when your government's not listening. Okay, so right now within the SCA, our government's not listening. So let's talk about that. What can we do to make the government listen? And by the government, I'm talking about the bod. Because our crowns are listening. At least Meridia's is. I think we have a very strong presence in our crown currently. Tim and Ismay are the best people we could have in this position right now, and they are doing their damnedest to make sure that we're doing better. But the bod's not listening. They are. They are listening. They're hearing. They're also playing very careful. So everybody remember that this is a private organization. This is a 501c3 that has rules and laws and regulations, and they are here to survive as a company. It's their business. So let's separate those two things for a second. SCA Incorporated sits over here and does business. Kingdom of Meridia's, the Barony of the Osprey, the Barony of the South Downs, these groups over here that are the society. Whereas we're governed by them, they don't affect my day-to-day. They write some rules. They give some vague guidelines. All that, honestly, most of what the bod does is give us legal advice and guidelines, so literally we don't step on our own dicks, or at least don't step on their dicks, for lack of a better term. For those of you who haven't read it, go ahead and read Kapora. Go look through the governing documents, the actual ones on society level. They're super vague. They're super open. They are super just like general guidelines. So it's really funny looking at this as a take the SCA and compare it to local to our mundane politics, right? So you have the bod, which is your United States government. You have the kingdom, which is your state, and you have your local group, which is your city, municipality, county, whatever you're in. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. I, as a single person, have very little impact on the bod, on the government. My one vote doesn't affect the presidential outcome that much, or frankly at all, depending on who you ask. However, my one vote, my one voice in this case, because in a monarchy you're not voting, but my one voice has a whole lot of impact in my local group, in my kingdom. Fix it there. I can't fix Flint Marsh or Oakbourne Keep or Terra Terminus or Phoenix Glade or name 1,000 other groups or anywhere else. I can't fix them. I can go there and help. I can preach the good word. I can fix where I'm at. I can fix local. I can fix Meridians. We can fix Meridians. So where are the rest of it? Let's fix what we can fix. We can't fix Thorsten. We can't fix Gallery. Here's what I can fix. Here's what I have impact on. Me. And thusly on you. Because you're watching, so you care about my opinion. So focus on that. Focus on the good and not the anger. Play your game. Find your friends. Play their game. Let the rest of it go. Push it aside. That's an empty cup. There's a way to make the bod listen. It's just awkward. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, but it also can get replaced. Correct. The write 100 letters. Write letters. Write letters, good and bad. The bod hears a lot of bad, not a lot of good. Write letters. When they do good, write letters. When they do bad, write letters. Write letters to the kingdom. Write letters to the bod. Make sure they know. And you're correct. Anyone can apply to be a member of the board of directors. There's also there's a kingdom law committee in the kingdom. Again, start local. Go to your local group, find your local things. And I know I'm speaking to a lot of folks in Southbound right now. You guys are not the problem. Don't get me wrong here. Start local. Work your way up. Affect the change, you guys. All right. With an empty cup, that it does me for today. And in the words of their majesties, be good and revel on, guys. This has been Kalbardr in Kalbardr's Corner. Or morning, I guess. Morning, guys.